Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now. Greg Christ, along with Mickey Plumley tonight, and Frank will be joining us here in just a few moments. But Mickey, welcome into the show from cold. All of us don't have the luxury of being down in Florida, where it's nice and toasty. It's freezing cold here in West Virginia. You're down in Charleston. I'm in Oak Hill, and man, it's brutal out there.
It's always about 15, 20 degrees colder up there in Fayette County than it is down here in Kanawha County.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
found to be the experience.
and usually about 50 to 60 degrees warmer down there in Florida where Frank's at. So, to be with him, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. I talked to him the other day. He says 70 degrees, 70
Uh,
and sunny down there.
nice, nice,
Not a
nice.
bad deal.
Nope. Well, we got the regular season wrapped up, and I think mercifully it came to an end after Saturday. Man, and I didn't get a chance to be on the post game with Frank and Mike, and I had talked to you about it since then. But what a dismal performance, and I kind of feared that a little bit. I felt like we would go out and compete, play hard. I don't know that we did that. I think a lot of folks are just glad that's over with.
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure that it's because the guys gave up as much as just the power and the strength of Texas Tech. I mean, those guys have got one heck of a ball club.
Oh yeah,
I think they're going to do well in the CFP championship series. I think it'll probably beat BYU in the Big 12 championship and go on to compete in the CFP. But they got a great team, no question about it. And we're still developing, but compared to last year, Neil Brown's last game, was that last year?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, I did have the impression in that one that the guys did just kind of give up, didn't give it their best shot. But I
yeah,
thought everybody played hard Saturday, did the best they could.
yeah,
But
yeah. They played hard. It was just they played hard. I should have said that. It just um, they were just overpowered, overmatched. I mean, it was pretty clear, evident from the beginning. Texas Tech could do pretty much what they wanted to do, and unfortunately, some of our guys didn't have their best games, and which we would have had to have had, and we were just overmatched, and a year like this, it's going to happen. I think there were a couple times when we were in that situation, but like you said, I think Coach Rodriguez and the staff have found some people. I think they feel like they can rely on, and I think that his recruiting right now has been stellar, and we'll talk about that later on. But uh, I think I think that people feeling a lot better, even though we got shellacked Saturday. I think people feel a lot better about next year than what they did this time last year about this coming year. So that's positive. I think there's a lot of positives to go on. It's hard to sometimes find when you get beat like that. But you can't. The season is a whole book. It's not just one page. And
yep,
uh, you know, uh, there were times when we really looked like a good football team, and I think there's a times when there's some players that really stood out that are going to be good football players. So yeah, I think there's some positives to take on all this.
no question about it. I think it's totally different looking forward to next year, this year, than it was last year. And hey, speaking of last year, I noticed where Neil Brown got a new head coaching job
I saw that.
today. He's going to be the head coach at North Texas. You happen to see that?
Yep, I sure did, and good for him. And congratulations to him. I think Neil Brown is a good person, and I think he's a good football coach. Um, Mickey, I always felt like he just was maybe just a little over his head too soon here. It seemed like it was a little bit too big for him, if that makes sense. And I think this will be a good fit for him, and I think he'll be successful.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I don't.
And meanwhile, we got a lot going on down here in Charleston this weekend, Greg. WVU is going to be playing Wake in the Charleston Holiday Christmas Basketball Classic Saturday night. That'll be a good game to go watch. And we also got the West Virginia High School football playoffs are occurring this weekend, this Friday and Saturday also. It's exciting times here in Charleston this weekend.
Absolutely. First time that the football playoffs has been there a long time. They've been up in Wheeling for years, and they switched it around this year. I think the way that works, they bid on it ever so often. I think they come up with an idea that maybe they should shift it around some ever so often. So coming back to Charleston, I think it's especially for us fans in Southern West Virginia, that's a positive because a trip to Wheeling is not an easy trip from here, especially in the middle of the winter. And being in Charleston, I think gives a lot of us Southerners a better chance to go to the games. And we got some good games lined up. I was going to ask you which one of the games do you feel most compelled to watch?
Well, the most exciting one I think is going to be the last one on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Princeton takes on Nitro. I've been following Nitro here locally around the Charleston area. They got a great team, but I know Princeton does as well. They took out Huntington, and of course they beat Oak Hill pretty good. I hated to see that happen, but I think that game Saturday night is going to be a culmination of the four, and that being for the AAA championship. It kicks off on Friday at noon, which is good because the weather's not going to be real warm here in the evenings this weekend.
Right.
But at noon on Friday, you got Morgantown taking on Martinsburg for the Quad A, the 4A championship. That'll be followed by, speaking of Wheeling Central will be playing Clay Battelle at 7 o'clock Friday night. And then on the AA championship, you got Frankfort at Bluefield at noon on Saturday, followed by that Princeton Nitro matchup. So going to be a good weekend for high school football here in Charleston.
Yep, and those sound like some pretty good matchups. Typically when you a lot of times in high school you see these matchups and they're kind of lopsided. Now Martinsburg, Morgantown is a pretty strong program. Martinsburg, of course, is like a small college program. And I don't follow the 4A close enough to know, if that will be a good, well contested game or not. I don't really know. In past history, Martinsburg is probably the heavy favorite, but Morgantown is always a really solid football program. So that could be a decent matchup right there. Nitro and Preston, I think, will be good. Preston's really been building the last couple of years. Like you said, they knocked off Oak Hill. They're a good football team, and I was able to watch some of them this past year, and they are a nice team. Bluefield, of course, knocked off Midland Trail in the early rounds of the playoffs, overwhelmingly. And Trail had a really good year, and Bluefield smacked in pretty good in the playoffs. So I would say Bluefield is probably the favorite there against Frankfort. I don't know why I say that because I don't know anything about Frankfort. So hopefully it'll be a good contest. And then the single A, Wheeling Central, typically a strong program against Clay Battelle, be a good one as well. So yeah, just the fact that we got the high school football playoffs championships in Charleston is exciting for me. I think it's great to have them back down here in this area, and I know a lot of people are happy about that. I look forward to going and watching, and hopefully the weather does hold out. I think it's not supposed to really warm, but I don't think it's supposed to be, as of right now, any snow, heavy rain, or anything like that. So hopefully it'll be the weather will hold out and be nice. Of course, when you look at the history up at Wheeling, it seems like every year they have snow during the football championships, and hopefully being down in the valley there, it'll be a little bit warmer anyway, maybe, and not bad weather. But yeah, it's going to be fun, and like you said, it's exciting for for the Southern West Virginia folks to get down there and watch. And also, you mentioned the basketball game. I think a lot of folks are still trying to figure out this basketball team. And I don't know if you've watched them any or not, Mickey, but you know, they're kind of like the football team, kind of a Jekyll and Hyde. There's games where they look outstanding, and there's other games where they're just kind of mediocre. And I think a lot of that depends on their shooting. Of course, that's a lot of basketball, but they're fun to watch, and they are competitive. And again, when you look at years past, there's been times when we haven't been real competitive on the basketball court. But I think this year, we are competitive. We can, if you play good defense, you have a chance. And this team plays pretty good defense, and I'm anxious to see. They've already had a game since they lost those two in a row, but I'm anxious to see how they bounce back here against a good opponent.
Yeah, I just dialed up the game tonight on ESPN Plus. I'm playing Coppin State tonight,
Yeah,
and right now the score is 11-10. That just 7 minutes gone in the first half. So Coppin State is giving them all they want here early in the game. But I think, well, given the quality of players on both teams, we'll see how this turns out. But I would think after a while we would begin to wear those guys down. And as you mentioned, Greg, you can count on us playing solid defense no matter who we're playing. I think I saw a stat. We're leading the country right now in points allowed, 57.5 points per game. Did
yeah,
you see that?
yes, 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 yeah. And if that's the case, Mickey, I don't know how much of a basketball man you are, but it doesn't take a basketball genius to figure out in NCAA basketball, if you can hold teams below 60 points a game, you're going to have chances to win some games. And obviously, that's an average. It's not every game, but yeah, you're going to win some games if you can do that. And they have shown that they can play defense, and they do play defense well. And that's kind of been his Hodges' forte is on the defensive end, and they've got some guys who can score the ball as well, and I think some of those are still finding their way just a little bit. I think they're still trying to find their identity, find their roles, and that sort of thing. And that takes time when you bring in a roster. It's all new, and you're trying to blend everybody together. That takes a little bit of time sometimes, and I think that's going to happen eventually with these guys. They've got good size, they've got speed, they've got quickness, they're athletic, they can shoot the ball. So they're going to come together eventually and get all these other things figured out. I guess that's what they refer to as chemistry, team chemistry. And once they get that blended together, I think they're going to be a good basketball team. I've watched them enough to see the good parts of them. I've watched them lose a couple of games that I felt like they probably should have won or could have won, but also watched them play when they were playing well. And I'm hopeful for them. I really think they're going to be a good basketball team.
Well, we'll see when that Big 12 schedule hits coming in January. We'll find out what we got then. That's for sure.
Yeah, Big 12 usually considered one of the top, if not the best basketball league in the country. And
Yep.
yeah, that's the thing about that league is, I know one of the years when we were down, I felt really bad for the guys because every night it was just a dogfight with somebody. I mean, you had Kansas, and you turn around and there was Oklahoma State, and I mean it just never stopped, and it was night after night after night. And I don't remember if it was DeVries or Huggins, one of them that talked about one of the hardest things to do in that league, one of the most difficult things to handle was that competition level every single night. Is you had to bring it every single night, and over the course of a 30-game season, that's hard to do. And you're gonna have letdowns and that sort of thing. And when you're getting beat a lot, then it makes it even more difficult. So yeah, that Big 12 schedule is nothing to sneeze at. That's for sure.
Well, as a former coach, maybe you can educate me and the audience here a little bit. I would imagine, I don't know, because I've never been that involved in the strategy side of basketball, but it's got to be easier, I would think, to develop your defense earlier in the season than it is your offense. Would you agree with that? Does it take more, just as in football, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I think so. In basketball, defense there are techniques and there are things that you do, strategy and that sort of things that you do defensively. But defense comes down to really how bad do you want to play defense, and you can watch a lot of games and you can see people who want to play defense and people who are just going through the motions, and you can really you get that instilled in your players. Uh, that defensive mindset, and they're out there getting after it defensively. Yeah, you can be ahead. That's for sure, no question about it. Offensively, and especially in the NCAA, you're not going to, excuse me, you're not going to trick people with plays and sets and that sort of thing. But when you watch offensively, what you watch for at that level is matchups, and the coaches trying to scheme and get matchups. And then basically what it comes down to is putting the ball in the basket. You can either shoot it in or you can't. Defensively, whether you're shooting well or not, whether you're having a good game, you can always play good defense, and that's the difference. And you don't have to be a 20-point scorer to be a good defensive player. You don't have to be 6'8" or whatever. You just have to want to play defense and get down in there and play it. And again, there are some techniques and there are some things that you have to learn. But in reality, it's effort, and you either have that or you don't. And I think Coach Hodge, it's one of the things that he's focused on is getting players who do want to play defense and want to put forth that effort, and they do. They get out there and get after it. And again, they're not going through the motions. You can see that. And Mickey, you mentioned being a coach. I was laughing. I spent the weekend down in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I went down to my son coaches at Winthrop, and went down
Mm-hmm.
and watched those guys, watched them practice, watched them play, and then watched the next day film session practice the following day on Sunday. And sitting in that film session, I just realized how little I know about basketball after watching that. I was absolutely amazed by the knowledge and the understanding and the things that they do and want to do and teach is just absolutely mind-boggling. And I was amazed at that. So when you say you use that term loosely when you say you were a basketball coach, because I did it for a long time, but I'm not so sure now. Looking at these guys, I'm not sure I was much of a basketball coach.
Well, you had a lot of success with it, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, yeah, and I always said, when you got good players, they can make you an awful good coach, and that was my good fortune.
There you
Was that,
go.
yeah, I had really good players, and I was lucky in that regard, and they're the ones that made the difference. I don't know if Frank is ready for us now. He's been working on some issues with our guests. I'm gonna drag Frank in here just for a minute and see how things are going. Frank, welcome in, buddy.
Hey, it's good to see you. Boy, you guys are right. There's so much going on, and it's like a roller coaster. It goes
Yeah,
up, but it comes down too. As you're talking about the basketball team losing those men's team losing two games, and then the women
yeah,
wasn't surprised too much by the Ohio State loss. They should have won that game,
yeah,
but Villanova, my God, I think it was like a 21 game winning streak
yeah,
at home, busted, and then we lose in the biggest margin in the modern era in football on Saturday,
yeah,
and we turned around, and we'll talk more about this. I mean, the staff, Rich Rod and staff, are just hitting it out of the park. Last
yeah.
time I looked, they're 23rd in the country, second in the Big 12. And if you're down on if you feel down with the Mountaineers, just wait around for a while, and you'll get up there with a much better feeling.
That's right. No question about that. And I just, before we got on the air tonight, I just saw someone posted that we just flipped a four-star running back, thought to be one of the best running backs in the
Yeah.
country from Wisconsin to here, Latimer. And
Yes.
they just keep bringing him in. He just keeps nailing
Yeah.
them.
But I've got a bigger announcement, and I've got a prop here too that I want to share before we ring Danny. Danny's not going to be able to be with us visually, but we're going to bring him and we'll talk with an audio interview. But
Okay.
I have something I want to show everyone. This is called the Golden Ass Award, and it goes annually to the winner of the Mickey Plumley, Greg Christ, Frank Fear annual pick'em. And since I have the biggest ass, I won it this year. I figured, guys, that in case I get invited to the White House, I'll be able to blend in with this golden ass. And it's staying with me. I broke the tie. 4 for me, 3 for 5 for me, 4 for Greg, 3 for Mickey. Mickey killed us last year, so we did some flip. But this is going to stay with me until next year, and then very expensive. This is. It's golded, because the ass is so big. It took a lot of gold to cover.
A lot of gold. A lot of gold on that thing, huh?
Mickey, you can tell Frank has a lot of time on his hands. He probably ran around all day looking for that.
Oh, are you kidding me? I chased after about 5 Amazon trucks.
Hey, Frank, you're going to put that out to loan for the year. I'm thinking since I moved from the penthouse to the outhouse this year on our pick'em competition, since I'm going to be in the outhouse, I could use something to hold the toilet paper with. Maybe I could use that trophy to.
Yeah, you won last year. We didn't have anything, so I think it's only fair to share it with you. 6 months, 6 months. So we'll get that to you.
There you go. All right.
Well,
hey, by the way, Mountaineers have opened up a little bit of a lead. They're ahead 24-14 with about 9 minutes to go in the first half.
Good. They're 30-point favorites today, and I saw the score too, and I'm saying, whoa, that's crazy. So we should probably bring Danny in here because he's all set to go. I think we'll do the audio interview, Greg.
Yeah, we'll get him in. That's for sure. Danny Bugs, of course. Any Mountaineer fan.
How y'all doing, guys?
All right, Danny, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate having you. And, I was just, getting ready to say any Mountaineer fan that has watched any Mountaineer sports or is any kind of fan knows the name Danny Bugs very well. And we are thrilled and excited to have you on the show tonight. It's quite an honor.
Well, it's an honor to be here and listen to you guys talk about the Mountaineers. Let's go, Mountaineers.
There we go. Go.
I wasn't. Sometimes we here in Atlanta, they have a Mountaineer club, and you can go and watch the game on the big screen. I wasn't able to do that this week, but I was feeling the pain for the Mountaineer fans, But, with Richard Rod and getting his feet wet, they're going to be all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we all feel that way. And I think there's some positives to be taken from, even though when you get beat bad like that throughout the season, there's been some positives and things to build on. And I think people are looking forward to next year, especially when you're reading about his recruiting class and the people he's bringing in. It sounds like he's got it headed in the right direction. He's going to be just fine. Danny, you reading back, your high school career, of course, was phenomenal down in Georgia. Tell us how you ended up in Morgantown as a Mountaineer.
Well, Coach Bowden, man. I mean, when Coach Bowden comes to recruit you, just like Dion says, you don't have any other choice when Coach Bowden talked to your parents and he got that old Southern drawl and put his feet on the table and eat some collard greens and cornbread and fried chicken and tell your parents that you're going to church on Sunday and he's going to be a good old boy. And you didn't have no choice. You didn't make the choice. Your parents did. So that's how I got to West Virginia, and I hadn't regretted a day since. Awesome. I used to tell my mom that's the best decision that she could have made for me because I didn't make it. She made it.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. It's a good decision. Talk about your time in Morgantown. What made it so special?
Well, I tell you, man, I had so many glory days in Morgantown, and then, as you know, I came back and I was a chaplain, and character coach and all that, for Richie Rod for a while, and just got a chance to, be with Steve Slayton, Pat White, and, Pac-Man Jones, Chris Hendry, a lot of those guys that Pat McAfee, just to name these guys that I had a part into being able to touch them to kind of put a foundation of manhood in their lives, because as we know, sports are not going to last a long time, but what you plant in a young person's life can last forever.
You mentioned some of those obviously very well known names in Mountaineer lore. Your time there, was it did you have one-on-one time with these guys, or did you just kind of a big brother to them, or how did that work?
Well, being a chaplain, you have a chance to share with them spiritually, and being a life coach, you have the chance to share with them what are the characteristics that's going to make you a man, make you a good person, what's going to make you a good husband, what's going to make you a good father, what's going to make you a good person in your community, what does it take for you to be able to give back. Those are the kind of things, the building blocks that I've had the privilege here in Atlanta, in Washington, Tampa, over in Canada, because every place I played, I instilled a program for youth. And so those was the good old days. I've had young men and women to even come up to me now, and now that my children have children, they always talking about, what your dad instilled in me now that I'm a parent. It's just delightful. And as I see, Steve Slayton and Pat White now as a coach, Pac-Man Jones is here, just to still rub shoulders with these guys and see Pat on ESPN. And, it just make it all worthwhile to see these guys taking the torch and carrying it on.
Yeah, that has to be a good feeling for you when you see these guys and how successful they became, and what good folks they turned out to be. And you obviously had a role in that, no question. I'm going to bring Frank in and let him get a few questions in. And we also have Mickey Plumley here with us. Mickey will be asking you a few questions as well. So, Frank, you'd like to come in and join us?
Sure. This is a real thrill for me, Danny. We had a chance to talk a bit about your thoughts about college football and where it's going and how you want it to go. And I know you've been working a bit with Nick Saban and others, but I want to go back to the day, and Darren has a video he's going to show in a second here. Let me tell a story, because one of the thrills for me, and I don't think I'm alone in terms of a fan, is that when you have a chance to not only watch one of your heroes, but get a chance to interact with that hero, and you certainly are, both in terms of on the football field as well as not just in college. Obviously, you worked, with Warren Moon and in the Canadian Football League, and you played in the NFL, and also in life, as you talked about with Greg. But the story is this, that about a week or so ago, a younger colleague of mine called me, and he started talking about how much he's down on college football today, and I let him talk. And then I said, I focus really more on sports history, and I've had a chance to meet people like Mickey Plumley and others that I really cherish, because I used to watch those guys, and you're one of the guys that I watched. And so I asked him, the guy's in his 30s. I said, you ever hear of a guy named Danny Bugs? And he said, I don't know who you're talking about. So what I did is I said, okay, I hung up the phone and I said, I'm going to send you something. I want you to watch it, and then we'll talk about Danny Bugs. And it's the play that every time I watch it, I just smile. It's one of the most favorite. It's my favorite play. And if you could, it's just a short video. It's that Maryland punt return from 1973 to start the year. And Darren, if you can crank that up and show it to the audience. If you haven't seen it, now there's only 6 seconds left in the game, and Maryland's punting. So take us through this play. You can't see it, Danny, but the audience can.
Yeah, I can see it there. Well, I was new to the game because, I couldn't play my freshman year. And so, they didn't know anything about me. Anybody else did for that matter, because I was, I ran some intramural track during that time of my freshman year, but I couldn't participate in any sports. And so when I did get a chance to, kind of break out, I was hungry, being off a year and, you coming out of high school, being an All-American and all that, and then boom, you get hit with the fact that you can't play, you can't run, you can't. So I'm just intramural boy on campus, and we got we got a chance to go down to the field house, play basketball, went out and ran intramural track, and just had a great time. And when I got on the field that summer, I was so hungry that I think when Coach Bowden was sending players in, I was still out practicing with Bernie Galiffa, and I made the guys stay after practice and say, hey man, you guys you don't understand, being off for a year and just seeing it vanish from you. I was just hungry, and they didn't have a clue. Maryland didn't know who I was. They didn't have a clue of my speed, anything. So, I couldn't wait for them to punt it. I was saying, I hope they punt it to me. I wasn't calling a fair catch or anything. I was ready to rumble. So it's been that's great to see. I've even shown my grandchildren. They've seen the videos and all that, and it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, what's amazing about him and by the way, the colleague called me back and he said, and that won the game? And I said, yes, it won the game. Maryland punted. And I told him, I said, the only other play I've ever seen where I've actually seen it, and this one I'm talking about I was at, was that incredible game between Michigan and Michigan State when Michigan had the game won. And for some reason, same thing, Jim Harbaugh punted with about 10 seconds left. And what was amazing about that is the Michigan lineman went downfield to block. Nobody from Michigan State was back to receive the punt because it was going to have to be block the punt and run it into the end zone. That's our only chance, and that's exactly what happened. But what was good about what was interesting about your play is that I don't know that number 20 something for Maryland, he spun you as you were running left. And then you went right, and that set it all up. But what was interesting in the sad story, I love that they had the end of that play in there because you're jumping up and down, and it was great. The guy that scored the touchdown for Michigan State, the players were so excited because Michigan State won the game. They broke his shoulder. His shoulder was broken at the bottom of the pile, and literally it pretty much it ended his career. What a way to. Yeah, but boy, I tell you what, so many thrills, Danny. So many thrills. Now that was just one of them.
Yeah, well, I was blessed, and Coach Bowden, Coach Signetti, Joe Pendry, Garrett Ford, these great coaches, and now when I look at Indiana and I see Coach Signetti's son that's coaching, it's unreal to see how that lineage now that they are doing so well since he got there. And I did call him last year, but he never answered me back. And I understand, these are multi-million-dollar coaches, and what they, take the time out to do now is nothing like what Coach Bowden and Nick Saban and Joe Pendry and all those guys, man. Just to think, and as I can think back, as far as our coaching staff, man, we had a heck of a coaching staff. Just think, Coach Clausen, Garrett Ford, who was All-American here, went on to play pro ball, and just a great staff that knew how to raise young boys into men. And I think that's where I got a lot of my stuff from, especially from Coach Bowden. He was just, a man's man. He was godly. He was, he was husband. He was father. And, you can tell from Tommy and Terry as they went on to become great coaches too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things I'll turn here to Mickey to get in with questions he has, but that 1970s staff that went forward, Bobby Bowden's first rodeo as a major college head coach, 3 of those coaches, and of course they didn't have the huge staffs they have now. 3 of those coaches went on to become college Hall of Fame coaches. You mentioned them all, and Signetti was one of them. Clausing was another, and of course Bobby and Coach Ford was the first African American assistant coach in football at West Virginia. So you think about it, those 4, all trailblazers and record breakers. You're right. What a staff by any measure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mickey?
what Coach Signetti's son is doing now at Indiana is just, it's incredible. And that Signetti name lives on just like the Bowden name.
Yeah.
It was just an incredible run for us. And, I'm forever grateful of West Virginia University, Morgantown. And I have a grandson now that is a hankified basketball player that, I know that once, West Virginia, he's going to junior college out of high school. He have offers, but they want him to get stronger. He's a guard, point guard, whatever. But he amazed me when I see him on the basketball court. It's just amazing that I saw him when he came out of his mother's womb, and now to see him now. And he always talks about West Virginia, and I said, well, hey, I'm gonna take you there, and I'm gonna make sure that they know that you are going to be available next year. Okay, so some lineage going on there. So hey, I don't want him to give him that. I tell you what, once he get on the court and they see their minds, it's just incredible. It just and I would love to see him in a Mountaineer uniform.
Mickey, why don't you get in there?
Hey, Danny, great to meet you over the airwaves here. I lived in Atlanta for about 35 years, and you and I actually ran into each other a couple of times at that Peach State, West Virginia alumni game watches on Saturday afternoon, which are still going on strong. And I really enjoyed following you in your career. I preceded you there by about 3 years or so. I was a sophomore in '67 and played on that '69 Peach Bowl team. And when Carlin left and Coach Bowden took over as head coach the next year in '70. And I was looking back into your high school career in Georgia, and you're actually a member of the Georgia High School Hall of Fame. I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about one of the things that you and I have in common. I believe, I played at a small school in southern West Virginia, a little town called Mount Hope. And the schools were segregated when I was a freshman, and by the time I was a senior, they were integrated. And we had Mount Hope High School, we had Du Bois High School, and they integrated those two schools together. And if you watch the movie, Remember the Titans,
Yes.
that's pretty much what my high school experience was like. And I think you went through something similar, didn't you? Or am I
Same
right
thing.
about that?
Yep.
You
Yep.
want to talk
Been
a little bit
there,
about what
watched it.
that experience was like?
Well, wow. That's a great question. Wow. It was shell shocking. We had just won the state in track at the all black school. We had just we had a super basketball team, and we had a band that was second to none. And to close our school down, that was my sophomore year. It was heart drenching. And then I went. It was 500 students at Hamilton, like your school, and we went to 4 different schools. So just say 125 of us went to each of those 4 predominantly white schools. And there were riots. There were guys that went and played with me at Hamilton didn't play at Avondale. I was the first and only black to play at Avondale in '69.
Oh, wow.
And you know, it wasn't a shell shock to me because of the way they opened their arms. And just 2 weeks ago, the guy that would pick me up, take me to practice and all, he transitioned. His name was Gary Wilson. We came just like, you know, Brian Piccolo and Gail Sayers.
Mm.
And at his service, his wife wanted me to speak. And I talked about the relationship. I talked about how integration, segregation brought a whole community together. And this guy that's laying before us today was the guy that we had a relationship for over 50 years. And there was 2 other guys, a quarterback and receiver, that we all went together. And we talked about that experience at that church service that day, about 2 weeks ago. And it was, you know, I wrote a book about that experience in between because I had more, I guess, backlash from the black community than I had from the white community. You know, because at that time, you know, when the guys went to Avondale, they didn't play. And if my mother would have gave in, I wouldn't have played. But my mother says she didn't raise quitters in her house. And if you eat mama's greens and you lay in mama's bed, and you're going to do what mama say. And she said, you're not going to not play. You know, God gave you the talent, and you're going to go over there and play. And I was the only one for that first year, and I was the first one. And hey, it was one of the greatest experiences that you know, that I still talk about, and I'm 72 years old, and I still talk about that experience, and it never gets old, it never gets stale, because of what we are going through in the world today. They need to hear a story like yours and mine. They need to hear it.
They do, Danny, and that's one of the reasons why I brought it up. We called this show Mountaineer Locker Room then and now. And I like to bring up things from the past, like this, because particularly the younger generation, I don't think they have a good feel for how turbulent, things were back in the late 60s, early 70s, not only with integration, but with, Martin Luther King's assassination and John F. Kennedy and the Vietnam War and just a whole bunch of stuff. Very, very turbulent times. My experience when they integrated Du Bois High School with Mount Hope, the better athletes came from Du Bois. And we just all seemed to hit it off. I mean, we all, our blood was red, regardless of the color of our skin. And we all had a love of football. And much like in Remember the Titans, our football team actually, I think, had a lot to do with bringing together the townsfolk, when it came to an integrated society. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends, a lifelong friend, I've known him since I was 3 years old, became a minister. Reverend Charles McKinney has a church up in New Jersey, and Charles and I have known each other going on 75 years now. But it was the bringing together of that brotherhood that we had at a very early age. I think had a lot to do with my outlook on society and life in general, as well as everybody in the town. And yeah, I agree with you. Young people need to hear these kinds of stories because I think they're very meaningful. As a matter of fact, Danny, I'll get a plug in here. I know you're involved with a nonprofit. I've got a nonprofit too called the Mountain of Hope Organization. And if you go, it's mountainofhopeorganization.org. If you go to that website, we actually have an audio recording that we made that's been aired on National Public Radio on NPR about the role that our football team had in bringing about integration in the southern coal fields of West Virginia. So if you get a chance, take a listen to that. And thanks for sharing your story on that, because I think it's extremely important.
I will, Mickey, and thank you, man, because like I said, I don't care how old we get. Our young people need to hear the story because, we're in worse shape now than we were then.
Oh yeah.
When I see what goes on now, and it's amazing. I used to speak, 200 engagements a year, just going around the country, speaking and testimony and telling my life story, and even dealt with a documentary. And with what I'm doing now, I founded the BFL. It's called the Black Football League, that I'm starting. Been working on it for about 4 years now, and we're really getting into the mood swing of and what it is. I've had several people now that we've gone trademark and LLC and all of those things. And when they hear the Black Football League, the first question is, is this just for Black players only? No, it's for players that comes and play in the historical Black colleges. The ones that don't get drafted, the ones that don't get seen. It's the least, the last, the left out, and the left behind players that when you had Grambling, you had Tennessee State, you had Southern, you had FAMU, all those schools where Doug Williams and Jerry Rice and Walter Payton and all those guys come from that could play then. But now you have the NFL, they don't even look at these guys. So what my dream and vision is to give these guys a chance to be professional athletes. And we've come a long way. Hopefully, we're gonna kick off in 26 and give these guys a chance from the historical black colleges and universities to give them a chance to play professionally because of the underserving that they don't have the opportunity like a Notre Dame or Ohio State or West Virginia, Pitt. These guys are not even free agents. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm building the BFL, and we're starting out with 12 teams. We have 8 so far, and we're going to have a 45-man roster with 5 on taxi squad. And you can be purple, you can be yellow, you can be white, black. It doesn't matter. If you go to a HBCU, you are qualified to play in the BFL.
All right. Hey, that's great work. Thanks for what you're doing in that area. Greg, I think that's about all I had for Danny.
Hey, and listen to that story about the BFL. When you mentioned some of the names, and if you watch any of the games now, you see talent, unbelievable talent, and the thought that they're getting overlooked is again says a little about our society, but it's a shame really, and to give them the opportunity to be seen like that is fantastic. I can't wait to watch that. That will be awesome. So thank you for your work, and Frank and I, Mickey, we talk all the time about how fortunate we are to get to talk to you folks and to see what you've accomplished and done after your time at WVU. And again, you fit right into the category of unbelievably great and doing fantastic work, and we appreciate that.
Well, thank you all for having me, and it's been great, man. Mickey, I'm going to check your site out and what you're doing, and man, I bless you. Blessings upon blessings in what you guys are doing for the university and keeping this broadcast and people being informed. And that's the beauty. And I like this here in Atlanta, having the West Virginia club here. It's a delight. And West Virginia got fans all over the place. I mean, it's one of the most, that's why, on Saturday I get glued with friends and people because it's not about burning couches like they like they have pinned up on us. It's just a great. I mean, I know you guys know, but a few years ago, West Virginia was number 1 in fanfare and paraphernalia and all that kind of good stuff. The flying WV, and man, I'm proud to be a Mountaineer, and we got the best fans in the world. We get a little crazy, but it's all right because they get a little crazy at Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan. So I'm just delighted, man, that I can wear the blue and gold in the WV. WVU on my just like you got right there, Mickey. You got on your WVU gear, and I wear. I'm very blessed that I had a coach and a daddy like Coach Bow and his lovely wife. They treated me like a son, and we still, Tommy and I and Miss Ann, we still have a connection together. So I'm very
wonderful.
blessed. And, Coach Bowden, in his book, he talked about Deion Sanders and myself being 2 of the top athletes that he coached.
Wow.
So I've been so blessed to be a part of just the West Virginia family. And it'll be something that I go to my grave just knowing that, I bleed blue and gold.
Wow, fantastic. Danny, thank you again so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you again, and keep up the great work.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great night now. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Thanks, Danny.
Kind of leaves you speechless a little bit, doesn't it, Frank?
Well, talk about character and class and dignity and
Yeah.
being a role model, all the things that you want your son, brother, father, you name it to be. Danny's that way, and it's authentic. It's completely authentic, and it's just a wonderful thing to be able to rub shoulders with him. And I was gonna mention, and I think I didn't mention it when I was on the phone with him, that this year not one of the historically black colleges in the football championship division was invited to the end of season tournament, and so there are no schools like a Mississippi Valley or a Southern or a Grambling or an Alcorn playing in that championship, not even the first round. So what he's doing is really important, giving those players a chance and accentuating those schools because they have always and continue to serve a very important purpose in American society.
Yeah, it's just like I said, so much talent, and when you watch them play, it's just unbelievable that not more of the kids from those schools are getting recognized, and what a great thing to do. I mean, what a great way to try to get them out there and get their names out there, get them seen, that sort of thing. I know in today's modern era, getting seen is not that difficult to do, but they obviously lots of them get overlooked, and a lot of those players do, and so it's a good thing that he's doing. Again, never ceases to amaze us. The stories that we hear from these guys after their time at WVU is concluded. One of my big regrets, Frank, is we didn't start this show 20 years ago and could have known these guys all this time. I hate that we just now getting to hear from them and know them because such fascinating stories.
Oh yeah, I mean it's an honor for us, and it's there's so many shows out there that follow the current Mountaineers and do it very well. And today is a good example with signing this being signing week. They're doing a great job of covering. And by the way, I was just thinking, Mickey, going back, I looked at the score a few minutes ago, Greg, too, is that it's close. West Virginia is up by only 8 at halftime against Coppin State. And so I think it'll be interesting. The women later on this week, do they play? I think the men play
Wake
Texas
Forest
A&M
on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm thinking they play Wake Forest on Saturday at 6:00. That's on ESPN2. And then I think the women play. Should have written this down earlier, and I forgot to do that. They've got a big game coming up as well. Let me see if I'll get it here very quickly. I don't know why I pushed Formula One. I don't think West Virginia has a car in Formula One. Let me see. Big 12 on Saturday. Or is it Sunday? Maybe Friday. Yes, they play Mercyhurst on Friday. It's next week. So that's a big game for the Mountaineers on Saturday. But let's talk a little bit about signing and the great job that what a finish.
Yeah. He's been I got a message from Jay Slider, our friend that watches the show all the time today, talking about how he's signing some dogs, and he in his press conference talking about some of these folks. Man, he seems to be landing them left and right, and just like we said, just right up to the hour before the show, we stole another one from this one from Wisconsin, a running back, 4-star running back, and I don't remember, in a long time hearing. WVU signing a 4-star this, a 5-star that. Rarely do we get those stars, and of course, what I noticed in years ago, Now it's not now, but years ago there would be a guy that they would say was a 5-star recruit out of Atlanta, Georgia, and then he's committed to WVU, and then next time you see him, he'd be a 3-star once he committed. So I don't know if it's like that now or not, but I don't remember seeing as many stars beside names of players that we were being connected to.
Yeah. Darren, if you can throw up that graphic, it's a little bit like it's aged. I put it together at noon. But look at that. WVU actually has 45 commits now. And we're still, I mean, that's amazing. WVU is ranked second in the Big 12. We're 23rd now. There, just today, just this afternoon, West Virginia went from 26 to 23. And in the last couple of weeks, we were like 48th. So it's amazing. And I don't even have Latimer on this list, because he signed late. But, Texas Tech has all the money. We know that. But for what Rich Rod and staff has done, I think is just amazing. And, we needed this because for as good as the Mountaineers played the 3 previous games, boy, I'll tell you, the air was out of the balloon last Saturday. And you were saying, Greg, when we talked on Sunday, you were watching your son's game, and it wasn't on live down there, and you were following it. And it's like you went to the concession stands to get a Coke, and when you came back, it was 21-0.
Well,
I mean, it was like amazing.
That. Yeah. I told my wife, I said, I think Frank's got us this week. I said, he picked the side score, and it's going to be lopsided. It sounded bad to start with right off the bat. And I was like, man. But like I told Mickey, I said, the season's not it's not a page. It's a whole book. And I think I think the staff has, they've got people they feel like they can count on. I think we've got somebody they think can play quarterback. And I know he obviously knows a lot more about this than me or many of the other fans know. He knows what the weaknesses are. He knows where to, how to fix it. And he's doing that right now. And I think the future bodes well. I just think looking at, you can't go crazy about a recruiting class until you see how they turn out. But just the mere fact that, we're in the mix for some of these big name players and getting some of them means something. And, if they can do work in the portal and get it in the right direction, not having to take every single player you want, then you're in the right pathway. But I've heard just through the grapevine, different people I've talked to, that a lot of these freshmen are talking about bringing in. Several of them have been listed as people who can have an immediate impact.
Oh yeah,
that's really encouraging.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I absolutely. In fact, when I look at the recruiting ratings, I think the difference between this class and other classes, you still got to coach them up. There's no question they've got to learn the system. Yep. But this is a different breed, so to speak. We're looking at when you look at Kevin Brown, inside linebacker, and then the big guy, one of the big gets they got with Matt Sig. Who's a safety, also from Pennsylvania. And as you mentioned, a bunch of running backs. Yeah. And he said today in his press conference, he came on just before we went on air. I mean, they're not through signing. They were hoping to get to 40. They may get to 50 before it's done. And we're not talking about the portal yet. I mean, the portal will be open soon. And the other thing I wanted to mention, Mickey, get your thoughts on this. A lot of people were concerned that there's no big game on the schedule since this home and home series with Alabama was that was basically by mutual agreement removed from the schedule. But look at Virginia. Virginia's playing in the ACC championship. They're ranked. If they win that game, they have a chance to go to the college football playoff as the ACC rep. Or they will go as the ACC rep. Virginia's been down for a long time, and that's going to be our third game of the season next year in Charlotte. That's going to be a hell of a game.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you look at our Big 12 schedule, that's enough. And I've said this for years. Yeah, I'd like to see us play Pitt every year. But at the same time, you got to take into account what's down the road. And, uh, these big games, I think you're going to see, unless they're conference games, I think you're going to see a lot of those kind of go by the wayside. You're not going to see these big time matchups coming in. But Virginia will definitely be a formidable opponent. And then you throw in the rest of the Big 12 schedule. That's plenty of good schedule. And Frank, just jumping back and changing the subject just a hair, you mentioned that ACC title game. Do you realize that if Duke wins that title game, there'll be a 5-loss team in the college football playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
well, there's talk here in the South that Duke won't get in if they win the ACC. That it may very well default to, is it James Madison?
James Madison. Yes.
There's been some talk that James Madison may be the selection over Duke if Duke upsets Virginia in the ACC championship game.
Yeah. You're right, Mickey, and I think that shows a little bit of maybe a flaw in the system. I don't know. I don't know if you consider it a flaw or not, but that thing has been a complete mess, and what a way to do this. These guys meeting and coming up. They have one reason, to keep a team out. The same reason puts a team in. Head-to-head matters this week. Head-to-head don't matter last week. It's just unbelievable the mess that this selection committee is and the way this all works. But I'm not sure that not only with the NIL and the transfer portal and all those things that we might not have to see some salary caps and some divisions and some playoffs and some Super Bowls in college football. I've been preaching that for 2 years now, and I think this just
yeah, I think we may have lost Greg. Are you back?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what happened. I just froze there for a second.
Yeah, I think so. And Mickey, I was thinking on our text string with the 66 to 70 guys, they were talking about this quarterback from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, who's decommitted twice from Auburn and Penn State. 4 or 5 star from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, by the name of Falzone. He's still up for grabs, and West Virginia is in the hunt, and I'm looking to see if he committed. Yes, he committed to Penn State today. Yeah, we lost him. And also that great player from Nitro that you were following.
Yeah, Deron Parks. Deron Parks. We lost him to North Carolina, unfortunately. Yeah. However, we got a teammate of his that did sign that plays for Nitro. I'm going to go watch that game this weekend, by the way. Malachi Thompson. He won the Randy Moss Best Wide Receiver in the State of West Virginia award in 2024. Wow. So this kid is a player, and we did get him. I was hoping we'd get Deron Parks also. Unfortunately, we didn't. But I did take a look, guys, at the offensive linemen, because no matter how many good skill position players we get or QBs, if we don't have the horses up front, and I'm not saying this because it's the position I played, but it's the truth. If you don't have the horses up front, then it's just not going to happen. So, just really beside myself that we got Kevin Brown, legacy player, coming in. And he's only 280 right now. By the time they get him beefed up in the weight program, he'll be over 300 pounds. They got Jonas Muya, who's an offensive lineman at 6'8", 280. They got a great JUCO, junior college transfer offensive lineman by the name of Deshaun Woods. And this kid's 6'5", 295. Frank, you had Camden Goforth on your
Mhm.
chart there, and I love that name because I can just see Rich Rod saying "Go forth" and kick his ass. 6'5", 320 pounds for Mr. Goforth. Aiden Woods, 6'5", 297. And Cam Mallory, they got out of Alabama, 6 foot 315. So we got some beef coming in, and hopefully they'll help shore up the offensive line. No doubt Kevin Brown will be able to contribute to that immediately. I would think that Deshaun Woods, a junior college transfer, should be able to contribute immediately as well. And hopefully one of the other guys will come up. But, yeah, we got to retool that defensive line to have a better record next year, no doubt about
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's exciting.
Yep.
I'm good
Yep,
on
that
it.
is. That's good. Good to hear that those names coming up because, like Mickey said, you got to get. It starts with that offensive line, and
Yeah.
think back during our season, Frank, the games where our offensive line performed fairly well,
That's right.
we were successful. When we ran the ball and we give him time to throw, we were successful. So yeah, no question that that's what makes the difference. And like I said earlier, Coach Rodriguez knows the weaknesses. He knows what he needs to do, and he's going to do it. So
That's right. And some good news too. They're expanding the Mountaineer basketball team, expanding the lead against Coppin State. It's now 47-34. Still a little bit
yeah,
close for comfort, as they say.
yeah, that's right. Well, we obviously will not have a pregame, postgame show because we don't have a game to do Saturday. But I think eventually we'll get in maybe doing a basketball game or two before the year runs out. But we will be back, or at least I will be back, and Mickey, I guess, will be back next Wednesday. Is that correct, Frank? I want to make sure I got everything.
That's right. I will not be with you. And if you could put up the slide, it's not yet confirmed because of schedules, but we hope, talking about recruiting, and there Cliff is with a guy named Bill, and he stole Duran away from us. But at any rate, Cliff Hill, who is nationally known for the work he does, helping high school players get committed with no money behind him. This will be the third time he's going to be on the show. He's not yet confirmed, though. His son's playing. His son plays for Duncan, plays for Nitro, and he's going to be in the championship game this weekend. You'll see him down there. Hopefully, you'll be able to run into Cliff, Mickey, when you watch the game. But if Cliff's not with us, somebody else will. But we'll hopefully Cliff will be with us next Wednesday.
Yep, be fun to talk to him about this recruiting, get his thoughts on what the Mountaineers are doing. I know he follows it closely, and he'll be able to give some good insight on it and probably make us feel a lot better than what we already feel about it. So we'll look forward to having Cliff in next week. Again, we want to thank our guest tonight, Danny Buggs, fantastic guest, and congratulations again there to Frank. He went to Dollar General today, got him a big ass trophy. He is the winner of this year's pick'em contest between me and Frank and Mickey. I'm sure that'll be in the newspapers tomorrow all around the world. And
ESPN. It'll be on ESPN tonight at 11, probably.
That's right. That's right. Congratulations, Frank.
Hey, by the way, the Mountaineers are up by 17 with 15 minutes to go.
Sounds good. I'm gonna go finish it out, guys. It's been
so they're wearing them down.
Yep, Mickey, thank you again for all your input. Frank, thank you, Darren, for all your work in the background. Appreciate you. I look forward to seeing all you guys next week on the show, December the 10th, on the Mountaineer Locker Room, then and now on the New River Network and the Voice of College Football. For Frank and Mickey, I am Greg. Have a great evening, everybody, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Good night.